It has been said that in Twilight Struggle, you need to know the cards well in order to play well. Well, we're going to take you through every card one by one, and we're going to help you become a master at Twilight Struggle. This is Legendary Tactics. This event, while quite thematic, is a bit of an odd duck. There are certainly times when the event is worth going for, but when exactly? This is what we will look at today. This event is a neutral 2 ops early war card where the player of the event chooses to sponsor the Olympics. The other player may either participate or boycott. If they participate, each player rolls a die, with the sponsor adding 2 to his roll. The high roll gains 2 victory points. You re-roll ties, and the sponsor maintains their +2 advantage during that re-roll. If the other player chooses to boycott, Defcon is degraded 1 level, and the sponsor may conduct operations as if they played a 4 ops card. Please note that these 4 ops are subject to reduction by Red Scare or Purge if that had been played previously by your opponent. One might not think of it, but this is a potentially dangerous card in that the event may result in Defcon Suicide. If you were to play the event at Defcon 2, your opponent will boycott the event, and when Defcon drops, you will lose the game because you are the phasing player. In other words, you were the one that played the card, so you are responsible for global thermonuclear war. Nice. If you play the card when Defcon is greater than 2, your opponent will never boycott and give you the 4 operations points. So for you, it ends up as an event that gives you a chance to earn 2 victory points, with the downside being that your opponent may walk away with them. Your odds are actually pretty good of winning the games, around 80% or so, but is it worth it? That's a bit of a risk that most players are not willing to take, and they will simply use the 2 operations points, which can benefit your side guaranteed. The only exceptions might be is if it prevents a win of the game, a war game scenario, or if you're really down on points and need the help. It could be used as a headline, although that has its risks as well. If your opponent headlines a card that drops Defcon, like Duck and Cover or We Will Bury You, then it can lose you the game, as I mentioned before, and headlining it ultimately doesn't even guarantee you the victory points. You'd have to be pretty desperate for those victory points, or you really can't have much else better in hand as an alternative. That said, for the USSR, it can be a decent first-turn headline. The US player will have to choose between lowering Defcon to protect Italy and the rest of Europe, but giving the Soviets 4 juicy operations points in exchange, or likely giving the Soviet player 2 victory points to add to their early game momentum. If you are close to winning the game, as you can see in this example, you might be able to force your opponent to boycott and give you those 4 operations points in exchange for keeping the game going, so you might benefit from the event that way. So in summary, for either player, this card is probably going to be used for the 2 operations points most of the time. However, taking the event generally gives you a pretty good chance at 2 victory points, which might be important at certain points in the game. However, you need to remain vigilant and not accidentally trigger a Defcon loss on your part because the opponent chooses to boycott the Olympics. That's not a pretty way to lose a hard-fought game. This has been our analysis of the early war neutral event Olympic Games. We hope you gained some value from this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'm NATO with Legendary Tactics, and we will see you next time.